Hello and welcome to Before Exams. Here we help you to prepare for your competitive examinations. Subscribe to our channel so that whenever we post the content about your exam, you get the notification about it.
Hello and welcome to this course of IELTS. This is the speaking section which we are doing right now. So we have done some topics previously. You might have seen those videos and you might have learned a lot from those videos. I'm sure it is helping you out in your IELTS preparation. So our topic of discussion for today is vocabulary for IELTS speaking section 1. So we'll be talking specifically about IELTS speaking section 1, wherein it is about the introduction and general questions are asked either on your life or on your work or study, or there are different topics that we'll be learning about. So let's just first see that what we'll be learning in this. First, we'll be discussing the importance of vocabulary, why vocabulary is important. And then we'll be learning about some vocabulary and phrases that can be used in the IELTS speaking test. Also, there will be an exercise that I'll be giving you, a homework exercise that you have to do. So IELTS speaking section 1. In IELTS speaking section 1, for a candidate who needs to score band 7, something is expected from that candidate, and that is you have to use a wide range of vocabulary in your speaking test. The more advanced and accurate it is, the better are the chances of scoring higher bands. So that is why it is very important to use IELTS vocabulary, that is advanced vocabulary. Rather than using simple words, use advanced vocabulary, which could really impress the listener or the examiner, and he or she can give you the maximum bands. There are some topics which are usually asked in your IELTS speaking section for 1. These are hometown, family, work, hobbies, food, goals, sports, motivation, time, music. So in total, there will be around 12 questions which will be asked, and there will be 4 to 5 minutes which will be given to you. And these questions will be on these topics. Now, it's not necessary that 4 questions will be asked from each topic. The number of questions can vary. Also, these are not the only topics from which the questions will be asked. There are numerous topics, but these are some of the general topics, and this will give you an idea that what could be the level of topics from which the questions will be asked. Learn an example. For example, there is a question which is asked. This is asked many a times. The question is, do you work or study? So the answer, I'll give you 2 answers. One will be a not so good answer, and then there will be a good answer that you need to give so that you can score the maximum bands. So not so good answer is, right now I'm working as a website developer. I always liked to code, so I chose coding as my career. Although you are giving the information, there is no grammatical mistake, but the usage of vocabulary is very less. That is, advanced vocabulary is very less. So let's just see how we can improve it. Currently, I'm working as a website developer in XYZ company. The idea of coding always fascinated me, so I took up coding as my career. So what I did here is, let's see. Then look at the first answer. There was this word right now, a phrase right now. I used the word currently here. So there is advanced vocabulary that I use. It's not that you will be using very challenging words or very difficult words. It's not like that. It's just that the choice of words should be smart. Now, currently is a word, everyone knows about that word. It's not like that you are using a really different kind of word. Everyone knows about currently, but the usage, it matters. Rather than using right now, use currently. It gives a good impression to the listener. So, currently, I replace right now with currently. There is this phrase, I always like to code, which is very, very simple. So, what I did was I used advanced vocabulary phrase, which was the idea of coding always always fascinated me. So basically, both of these phrases are giving the same information. But the way we are presenting our information or what we are trying to convey, it really matters. So here I'm using the idea of coding always fascinated me. This is advanced phrase that I'm using. Just understand or just keep in mind that using this will really help you to fetch the good score in your IELTS speaking test. Now this is the first section. If you use advanced vocabulary here, you know first impression is the last impression. If you use advanced vocabulary here, this will really help you to give a good impression to the listener. Right? Now there are some things that you can always use in your IELTS test. We'll just talk about that first. Let's look at this. Now, so I chose coding as my career. So rather than using chose, what you can do is you can also use I took up coding as my career. Isn't it this very easy to use, and still what you are doing is you are making a good impression on the listener, right? So let's just, so the question would be, what kind of music do you like or dislike? Well, I like to listen to rock music a lot. This charges me up whenever I feel a bit low. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to tell that what is your preference and what is your liking. But it is in a very simple language. Let's see how we can decorate this sentence. That's a pretty good question. What I did was here, I used a conversation filler or I used a conversation starter that we discussed in our previous lecture. So that's a pretty good question. I really prefer listening to rock music. This kind of genre charges me up whenever I feel a bit low. See, I conveyed the same information. There was nothing new which I conveyed. The only thing is how I'm presenting myself. Rather than using any word like well, what I did was I used a conversation starter. That's a pretty good question. Then I like to listen. Now, rather than using like, I use the word prefer. I really prefer listening to rock music. Then this charges me up whenever I feel a bit low. You are giving the information, but in a very simple manner. So what I did was I decorated it with this kind of genre. So genre is a word which will really create a good impression. This kind of genre charges me up whenever I feel a bit low. So these are the phrases or these are the words that you can use. This is how you can use these words and phrases so that you can mark a very good impression and you can score very good in your exam. I'm sure you might have got the idea now that why the usage of vocabulary, that is the advanced vocabulary, is important and how you can use it so that you can score the desired balance. Right? Of these vocabulary and phrases that you can use, I am giving you for 3 topics, which is work, then family. Now the thing is, I'm giving you these things. Now what you have to do is there is an exercise that you need to do. Whoever is really serious, what I'll do is I'll post the email address in the description. Ask me for an assignment. I'll be giving you an assignment. I'll be mailing you the assignment. So what you have to do from that worksheet or assignment is there are many topics. There are around 25 topics, and then there are some questions on it. You have to look at those questions. You have to answer the questions in as good way as possible. So what you have to do is you have to use a lot of vocabulary there, and then you have to send me that assignment so that I can evaluate that and I'll send you the feedback on it. So try using a lot of vocabulary. How it will help you is now the questions that will be asked in your IELTS exam, most of the questions will be from those topics itself, and the questions will be, so on every topic I made 4 to 5 questions. So the questions will be more or less the same. This will give you an idea that what you will be speaking and how you will be speaking and what vocabulary will you be using. So this will really help you to give an idea and it will really help you to improve your vocabulary. Now, IELTS is all about practicing and searching yourself, that doing research on your own about different words, different connectors, different conversation starters that we did. What I can do is I can give you the idea. It is lot about research. The more you research, the more you will be familiar with these vocabulary, the advanced vocabulary and all. So what you have to do here is just send me a request that you want an assignment. I'll be sending you the assignment on your email address, and then what you can do is just do that assignment and send the answers to me. Okay, so this will be it in this lecture now. I hope you really enjoyed the lecture. I hope you really learned from this lecture, and it will help you to prepare for your IELTS exam. So thank you. Have a great day to you. Bye bye.